We can have some espresso and talk, because if you're following me on like really any platform at this point, you know that I'm constantly going on and on about how I am an artistpreneur. And you're probably having like a spectrum of reactions. Some of you are probably like, okay, work, slay, live your life, like whatever. Some of you are probably like, oh God, no, I don't want to, girl boss babe, no. Some of you are probably like, do you mean entrepreneur? She doesn't know how to talk. And like, it's fine. I feel like I need to make this video also for me, because I had never like heard of that. So let me start from the beginning. When I was 5 years old, I went to Maine on vacation with my family, and they brought me to Mohican Island just for like a little day trip. Now, if you've never been to Mohican Island, it's literally like this big, and it's known for its beautiful hiking trails. But one of the things that they tell you to do while you're there is make a fairy house, but they have a rule that you can only use materials that have already fallen to the ground. You can't like rip bark off trees or tear like moss off a rock. You can't do that. I was enamored. I just thought that was the coolest freaking thing I'd ever heard in my entire life, and that stuck with me, right? So I go through my life, and I think that I'm going to grow up to be an actor. Oh, I'm going to be on Broadway. It's going to be very fabulous. Then I got into an abusive relationship when I was in college, and it completely derailed my life, or so I thought. I did get it back on track. But that relationship left me feeling like I felt like I had something to prove to everyone else, but also to myself. So a few years, almost 10 years later, I finally get a company in New York City to hire me. And I go to New York, and it was giving the Devil Wears Prada. It was giving like overnight success story. Like all of a sudden, within the course of just a few months, I had like celebrities' phone numbers in my phone, and I'm getting into per se, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I just felt like, oh my God, like this is what is going to define me. Like I've made it. And for a while, that was really great. For a while, that worked. And that part of my journey was really important, because it taught me a lot of different skills, especially when it comes to brand development, client relations. Basically anything client facing was now like firmly within my wheelhouse. But the problem with that is that I am neurodivergent. I am not a city slicker. And I realize that I'm sitting here talking to you through a camera, and maybe you're thinking to yourself, wow, she's so articulate. She seems so confident. I mean, yeah, but like after I do this, I'm going to be sloshing around in my like sweatpants, vocal stimming, and like under a soft blanket, because I just, and that's just one. Anyways. I am the kind of person that gets completely exhausted by social interactions. Like in the moment, at the time, for the most part, I'm great. I'm remembering things about people. I'm good with names. I'm good with faces, blah, blah, blah. But then after it's done, like I need to take a break. I'm exhausted. So I was starting to kind of feel a little, my adrenal glands were like frying, basically. So my parents called me up, and they're like, listen, we're going up to Maine on vacation. Like, pack your laptop, you're coming with us. Now, at that point, I was working for a company where I was working from home. So I'm like, okay, yeah, like as long as I'm in the continental US, like that should be fine. Same time zone I'm always in, like fine, right? So I told my team, and up I went. And I remember, I have a picture of it somewhere. I was sitting there overlooking Muscongas Bay. And I'm peeking over my laptop, and I just thought, I gotta get out. This isn't working for me anymore. Like I have proven to myself, I have proven to other people, I've earned money, like I gotta get out. So I did, and I moved home, and then I met my husband, and he was the one that helped me start my business. And when I first started, it was literally just fairy houses and some jewelry. That was it. And if I'm totally honest, coming out of New York City was really traumatic for me. I don't think that I realized how much it was impacting me negatively while I was there. I was also in a horrible, unhealthy relationship with a guy while I was living in the city. So it was kind of like me overcoming two things at once. Like, on the one hand, I was so relieved to be away from him and out of the city and back in nature. But then on the other hand, I was like, well, wait a minute. You just spent 10 years building up this life for yourself and this whole like persona. Like, what are you going to do with that? How is that going to translate? So when I first released my art, I will be honest, I buried it on Etsy. I buried it on Poshmark. Even though it was beautiful and it was exciting to look at, especially my fairy houses, I felt embarrassed a little bit. I felt like, how are my LinkedIn contacts, like, what are they going to think of me? One minute I'm the director of client relations and new business development and all this other stuff, and now I'm like gluing sticks together. And so for the first 2 years that I was in business, I was also overcoming a lot of postpartum anxiety, postpartum paranoia. I really was just one of those women that my body and my mind did not respond well to pregnancy. They did not respond well to labor and delivery. And they definitely did not thrive at all, or function for that matter, postpartum. So I was going through a lot, and I think that I was afraid to light fire to my LinkedIn network, which I had worked so hard to build up, just in case I needed to go back. But then all of that changed in the fall of 2023. A family friend came over and spotted one of my fairy houses on the mantle out of the corner of her eye and was like, what is that? I said, oh, I have a small business. I make fairy houses and stuff, but I haven't done it in a while. I've just been focusing on my baby. And she was like, no. Okay. You've had 2 years to focus on your baby. They're almost a toddler now. This needs to be in a gallery. And I was like, oh, I was thinking of maybe like seeing if like some gift shops want. She's like, stop talking. Gift shop? No. Art gallery. Leave it to me. I'm going to make some introductions. So she reached out to an art gallery that was in my hometown, told them all about me. They were like, if we agreed to have her bring her art in here just for us to look at, will you stop calling us? Now, normally, that's my personality trait. You know, I'm the one that was doing all the cold calling, like, hey, good afternoon, this is Samantha from blank company, how are you? I just wanted to talk to you about some of your blah, blah, blah. And I was the one doing that, but I was so tangled up from, like, New York City and leaving New York City, abusive relationship number 2, and, like, coming into the, postpartum. I was so tangled up, I couldn't get out of my own way. So then, I got on the phone with the gallery myself, and I said, I understand that a family friend reached out. Can I get some guidelines here? And they said, yeah. So I went in, and I met with the gallery director, and she was like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'll try to put up a little thing of the first house I made postpartum. She was like, okay, I would like for you to make a small collection, large houses, medium and small. And I also want your jewelry. I'm like, my jewelry? And at that point, the jewelry was just something that I was kind of like tinkering with. But it just wasn't something that I was like super, super proud of. It wasn't something that I was super confident with, but whatever. So this was in July. I ended up bringing her all of these things. And she was like, you need to be at the Autumn Arts Festival. Like, everyone needs to see what you're doing. The gallery is great, and we get a lot of foot traffic here. We have a big community, but you need to be out in the public. And I'm like, okay. So I sort of looked at myself, and I looked at my husband, and I told him, okay, I'm going to give this a chance. How much money can I borrow from you? And he was like, don't sweat it. Like, I gave you your seed money. You sold a few things to your aunt, so you've got a little money. I can give you a little more. And like, we're going to make this happen. We're going to grab some tablecloths from the Goodwill to make a nice display, and it's going to look very autumnal, and we're just going to do it. I was so scared. And I think any artist would tell you this, art is very personal. It's a very, very deeply personal expression. And I still wasn't feeling quite myself, I was getting there, but so I made, I think, something like 16 fairy houses and over 150 pieces of jewelry, mostly earrings, but I also had necklaces, I had some hair accessories, and I had earrings and bracelets and ear cuffs. And off I went, and I was shaking, and I sold out. I had not received that type or that level of validation in years, if ever. Because anytime I was successful prior to this, it was because I was good at selling someone else's product, someone else's consulting service. And yeah, you get accolades for that, but I had never had that kind of success just coming from my own two hands and my own brain. That was really the birth of me becoming an artistpreneur. I'm like, okay. So over the last 2 years, what I have done is I have expanded my line of artwork. I have nearly everything now. I've got my fairy houses. I have home decor, which is picture frames, mirrors, keepsake boxes, things like that. I have my jewelry still. I have my hair accessories. I also have a stationery line where I do gift tags, cards, and bookmarks. And on top of that, I also have apparel coming out. I'm going to be doing little capes for kids, when they do dress up, and also for adults who do cosplay and go to Ren fairs and are really into fae fashion and fae culture. And I've also expanded my line of whimsical artwork. So what used to just be fairy houses is now fairy houses, magic potions, magic wands, headbands, the whole thing. In addition to that, I got so much attention and so many requests that I founded an events division of my company, and now I go around and I do workshops. Predominantly I'm doing workshops for children, but I also do them for teens and adults, where we pick a specific type of artwork that I produce and I teach them how to make it. And I'm very lucky. I've partnered with terrific libraries all over New England. So really the bread and butter is just working with kids between the ages of 3 and 18 and teaching them my mosaic composition and how to work with natural materials. And, the biggest lesson I want them to take away is that you can stand there and say, oh my gosh, I'm going to make a whole thing out of pine cones. But the pine cones might not behave the way that you want them to, and that's okay. Just like in life, you can have all these ideas and all these dreams and all these goals, but then life happens and you have to pivot. You have to pivot or you're going to be left behind, not only in everyone else's dust, but also in your own dust too. And then you're going to have to sit there and wait for the dust to settle, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it is going to take a minute. So I also do live demonstrations. That's really popular with garden clubs and things like that, book groups, where I go in and I show them how I make my art and I talk about my business and where I'm gathering all these materials and talking about have you guys been to this hiking trail in this state? Have you guys been to this beach? Have you guys been to this town? Whatever. And it's all centered around New England. But then I also go and I talk to colleges. I talk to high schools. Usually it's young female entrepreneurial groups, these young women that are really interested in becoming entrepreneurs themselves, because a lot of people have tremendous ideas, but they don't even know where to start. Even just making a logo is a disaster, and filing for an LLC and copywriting and trademark and all this other stuff that goes into it and whatnot. And then the last part of it is so my events division is called Little Garden Gatherings. And then my artisan collective is called Once in a Little Blue Moon, because I think it's important for you to treat yourself every once in a little blue moon. And for that, I work with artisans just like me, independent artists or artisans from all over the world that have been doing this for ages and are experts at their specific craft, who are also eco-friendly like me. And I bring those items both to my retail partners as well as online, and people know that when they collect and invest in those items, that the lion's share of that money is going directly back to the artisan that made it. I do take a small percentage. I'm a business owner, but it's nowhere near. I mean, if you want to know, I think it's 10% or 12%, depending on the environment that it's in. Because why am I going to take money for something I didn't make? You know, I'm here working for them behind the scenes, but like, yeah, that's what like these bigger companies were supposed to be, and now, So anyways, and if you're interested in applying, you can apply to be one of my artisans. But anyways, so to me, that is what an artistpreneur is. It's someone who, yes, is an artist and they're making their own art, and it's in galleries and you're doing installations for different shows and exhibitions and whatever. But then I took it a step further and started my events division, and then took it another step further and founded this artisan collective where I am uplifting other people who are, you know, either doing or would like to do what I'm doing, but maybe they don't have the overhead, they don't have the time, they don't have the energy. There's a lot of different reasons why people participate in my artisan collective. And as much as it's like great for me to like have all this, I'm also like, I'm developing things with my artisans. I'm testing things. Like right now, well, you saw my other video where Renee from Mrs. Benny's Boutique, she sent me a bunch of candles, and I have to smell every single one, and not only I have to burn them. I know, poor me. But again, making sure that they smell the way that we need them to smell, that they're behaving the way that we need them to behave, that they're burning evenly, that they're not melting because now it's hot outside, you know, just like making sure that QC, that quality check is up there. So I make art, I sell art, I do events, I do speaking engagements, I conduct workshops, I have an artisan collective where I am helping with the business development and sales channels, channel development, whatever you want to call it, marketing, PR for other companies. I also have my own art. I'm coming out with a book in the fall, and I am doing it all by myself right now. I would love to have a team one day, but right now it's just me. So when I go out into public-facing arenas, like if I'm at an installation standing next to my art, or if I'm doing a workshop, people will ask me, because they've never, I don't think, really come across someone that's doing exactly what I'm doing. They're like, well, wait a minute. So do you work at the museum? Because I partner with the Florence Griswold Museum a lot. They're one of my retail partners, and I also am very, very honored and fortunate to have my art as part of their exhibition in the fall, every fall. And like people kind of like see my art and they make the connection between myself and the museum. So then they think that I work at the museum, and I'm like, no, I have my own business that I run. That's what I'm doing the workshop through, but I do partner with the museum, and they kind of, and I remember I took this to my friends a few weeks ago, and I'm like, oh, I'm so frustrated. Like, I have it all over my website that I'm fully booked for 2025, most of 26. I'm like, I have my own logo and blah, blah, blah. Like, why are people, like, not taking my business seriously? Like, why do they think that I'm not actually booked? Why do they think that I just work for the museum? Which, like, would be an honor, but, like, yes, Sebastian, yes, that's Sebastian. He's my assistant. Or is he my boss? But anyways, like, I'm like, why, blah, blah, blah. And my friends were like, Sam, it's not that people aren't taking you seriously. It's that they've never met someone like you. Like, I don't know. This is my friends talking. They're like, we don't know any artists other than you. Like, we are doctors. We are, like, one of them is a doctor. It's like a cardiologist. The other one is a microbiologist. And they're like, we are doctors. Like, we don't, like, we came to your workshop. You saw the art we made. It looked very silly. Like, we are not artists like you. So it's not that people aren't taking you seriously. It's not that people don't believe that you're booked. It's just that they have never met someone like you. So you really need to like freaking like relax, take a step back, and like stop taking things so personally, because it's not that. So, of course, like, you know, like always, my friends were right. And yes, Sebastian, yes. And Sebastian was right. So yeah, so that's what being an artistpreneur is to me anyway. And at this point, like if we need to get like nitty gritty, I pay for an LLC. I have a book coming out in the fall, so I had to pay for copyrights, US and international. I also had to pay for ISBNs. I got 10 of them. I pay for my website. I have a lawyer. And that's come in handy because I've sent out cease and desist because people try to copy my, no, we're not doing that. Don't do it. I literally have a lawyer. Don't do it. I have an accountant. I have a lawyer. I have someone that helps me with PR a little bit. Like just like when like requests come in from different like media things, and I'm like, okay, well, obviously, like, I know what NBC is, but I don't know what, like, Bing Bong, you know, media is, and, you know, she looks into that, and, I have a finance person, because I am, yes, because Sebastian and I are very busy, we can't do the finances as well at the end of the year, no, we can't, so, yeah, so that's the kind of stuff that I'm, like, paying for out of pocket. I'm also paying for, like, my material bases and things like that. Yeah, and so then right now I have 4 retail partners at the moment. So that's 4 separate channels, and then I sell my stuff online. I'm too busy to do events at this point, like art festival. I know. I'm too busy to do art festivals at this point. I just don't have the strength. What else? So at this point in time, like my business is making enough money for me to like figuratively keep my doors open, to keep doing what I'm doing. And it also is making enough money for me to then go and put these workshops on, because some of my workshops are free. So, you know, because I got to give back to the community. And yeah. What else? Oh, I had to verify myself on Instagram because I had an incident with someone trying to be like, oh, I make fairy houses. And I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't make fairy houses. And no, you don't name them exactly what I name my fairy houses. So my lawyer was like, just verify yourself. I'm like, okay. And it was funny because at the time I literally had like 82 followers. and people were looking at me like, but now I have like 200 and something, 230 maybe followers or something like that. But you know, it's part of a separate video. I've also talked about it on my Instagram. But like, if you're an artist, protect your art. If Taylor Swift has taught you anything, it is protect your art. Anyways, that's what I'm all about. If you're interested in learning about my business or my brands, you can go to littlesmallandco.com, take a little look-see. My website is always changing as my business is changing, but yeah, and you know, my book's coming out in the fall. The Artisan Collective is relaunching in the fall. Lots of exciting things. So thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, or whatever they say. And the only reason I'm on YouTube is because all my guy friends are like, you need to be on YouTube. That's where I watch all of my content. I'm like, ugh, but TikTok and Instagram. And they're like, okay, but the guys are over on YouTube. I'm like, do guys like fairy houses? And they're like, oh, we like you. I'm like, oh, say less. Okay, I'll see you there. Oh, and follow me on Reddit, because people are scary over there. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Seriously, thank you. Do what you can to protect nature, and yes, and hug your cats, because oh my God, they need hugs. Yes, little man. He's a little rescue from Texas. Yeah, he's actually from my husband's hometown. And I saw him and I said, oh my goodness, and I had him shipped across the country, and now he just is with mama all day. All right, Thank y'all for watching. Take very good care of yourselves, and I'll catch you later. We'll talk again soon. Bye.